Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is October 13th, 2022. Happy Thursday to everybody, and of course, welcome to our CPI trading day. Market's been trading relatively flat over the past two sessions. We saw pretty much the quintessential balanced day on yesterday's trade. Anyone who's familiar with the S&P's movement yesterday knows that there was little in the way of a trend, definitely a trading range on the short term, and anyone trying to go high or low through those levels was certainly frustrated with some of the lack of momentum. But like with most ranges, you often have your best edge on the fact that they hold, and we'll look at that just really quickly before we talk about today. Wanted to bring in just the SPX expected move. Remember, we're not really at the bounds yet, so if we do see our breakaway move today, lower bounds about 35.16, upper bound is still on deck here. Remember that just because we're starting low doesn't mean we can't transition back to sort of a bullish weekly pivoting type of stance. And getting above last week's close would certainly trigger the potential for that to happen, but we'll obviously need the CPI to come in and some of the price activity to decide that momentum. Now, as far as what to expect today, as I've mentioned a few times, we have CPI. Yesterday, we got PPI. So always forget the first P, but Producer Price Index. And it's not common that we get PPI before CPI. I was a little confused by that actually yesterday because there's been more occurrences of the CPI coming out first. So from yesterday's session, we actually got a little bit of a hint that the CPI could be coming in not necessarily hotter than expected, but definitely less indication that it's going to be lower. It might be in line. It could certainly be higher than expectation. But, that hint that we got yesterday and the fact that the market didn't really move leads us into today's session with the expectation for CPI coming in at, kind of highlighting the area here. We have things like our inflation rate year over year with our estimate and our previous readings. This will be your first row. Jobless claims kind of finds its way in the between, but month over month for September, and then you get your core. This is sort of your X food and energy kind of readings with estimates actually higher than our previous readings. So these numbers, the market's reaction, it's obviously the focus of today's trade. And I wanted to talk through what the market is expecting, because the bias here is that the market is going to move. It's not necessarily calling a direction, but to assume that the market will not move today is not really based in any factual or data-driven analytics. First things first, what does the market expect today? Well, if you're looking at the option market, and we'll use the SPX because it does have the 0 date expiration series, therefore we can get a more accurate assertion as to today's volatility, not necessarily Friday's, which we'll get in stuff like the SPY. What you'll notice here is the SPX is trading currently at, or at least on yesterday's close, at about a 93% IV, which is really, really high. This is a binary type of day. The volatility has erupted because of this, because people are hedging. And due to that behavior, we also have a wide expected move. It's about 80 $82, at least on yesterday's close. Now, if you think about that in the context of the week's expected move, the thing that we do every Monday, the market had priced in about $124 of movement for the entire week. Today alone, and this is on Wednesday's close, it's pricing in $82. So obviously the market is preparing for something big. Direction is not necessarily a bias here in implied volatility. Instead, it's more about range and how much risk is this market going to feel throughout the day. Now, if you're looking for targets and where are some of the bigger players putting their money, then obviously you want to be looking at open interest. And here in the 0 day to expiration series, you want to just call out the more obvious open interest nodes. If the market is expecting $82 of movement and we closed at about 35.77, 35.75-ish, then a downside move to 3,500 is not out of the question. Not only that, but they're expecting that type of volatility today. So if it happens, the market's ready for it. There's definitely open interest here that is prepared for that type of move. It can literally draw the market to it based on market dynamics. It also coincides very well with our lower bound of the SPX weekly expected move, about 35.16. So plus or minus a couple of points here, any move to about 351, 350 SPY to coincide with the SPX moving to these levels would not be out of the question. And you need to understand that from a technical sense, we are literally at the lows of the lows, the edge of risk right now. Our volume profile and other indicators are showing us that there's not really a lot of price-based and volume-based support below these prices. So if it happens today, then the downside can be very violent and fast, simply because who's going to buy those levels? No one has really in the past. And in terms of the reactions against previous moves, previous consolidation zones, it really opens the floor. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, this is not necessarily a directional bias here with the volatility reading. So if you assume that the market rallies for whatever reason, doesn't have to be on strong or weak CPI, but if the market rallies, what is the more obvious area to target? I would say that yesterday there's been some open interest forming at about 36.50. Pretty obvious, just like $5 or $50 increments in the SPX. And then, of course, if you're really shooting for the highs, similar sort of downside and upside from 3,600, that would, of course, lead you to 3,700, the most obvious and psychologically important price to the upside. Now, along the way, you'll notice you'll probably have to get through a couple of zones of high open interest. That would be where price could inflect, possibly pull back, or even just consolidate in between these ranges. But what it does is it gives you an idea of if there is a trend or a move to the upside, those are some areas where the market can test. And obviously testing would be profit taking on our shorter timeframes. So keep these in mind as we enter today. And also keep in mind that you can do this on the SPY, albeit you're going to be looking at a Friday expected move, not necessarily today's expected move. If you look at Friday, the IV is much lower because it's not necessarily the risk series that's being built for today's trade, but it does show that the market is still pricing in about a $9 to $9.5 SPY expected move for the rest of the week, which means that if we don't move much today, or maybe we come back in, tomorrow can be just as volatile. Obviously, the volatility will start to come out after today's trade, but it certainly implies that we still have a lot of movement left this week. Additionally, if you're looking to trade this, and especially if you're an options trader, there's still time to enter into directional or even more volatility based contracts. You can be using the SPX. As I mentioned before, it's a great product these days because of the all day coverage with the 0 date to expiration series. You also can look at something that's smaller. XSP is another product. It is a mini SPX index, 1/10 of the size, and yet you're still going to get every single day covered. So you still have 0 DTEs here, and ultimately you can use this in a similar way because the volatility readings will also be elevated. It won't be quite the same, but there is definitely a skew here, and that's really what most volatility traders are looking for right now. How to trade that? Obviously, you'll need to join us here in BBT chat room. We'll discuss some of those strategies probably next week as we get more into earnings, because binary trading events like these have the implied volatility that you want to take advantage of into the event. You're essentially wanting to sell something around those expected move bounds in the sort of jacked up volatility series, and then you buy something back in a later series to protect the risk. And essentially what you're doing is calendars or diagonal, typically double. That way you cover both sides. You don't care about direction. You care about volatility and its contraction after the event. So for the rest of today's session, I think ultimately there's a few names that you might want to watch for earnings. I won't really go into these too much in depth, and honestly, I don't think I'll have time for the banks as well. Be looking at their expected moves for tomorrow. But there are a couple of names today. Fastenal, it's probably our first NASDAQ stock of any relevance. You're going to have stocks like TSM, chip maker, and obviously feeling the cyclical downside of our semiconductor sector as of late. So a lot of downward pressure on TSM. Delta Airlines, just one of our first airlines to report. Probably one of the more impactful ones. I would say it's probably the largest one to consider, even though the volatility of it is still considerable for an intraday trader. We're talking about $1 to $2 per day. This one in particular is interesting because of the IV. It's probably our highest IV that we have today, whereas TSM actually pretty high as well, about 121, and then Fastenal at about 67, but this is not a weekly series. This is for next week. So you got to be careful with evaluating these from the option market perspective. The last one that I wanted to mention was BlackRock. This is one that I thought was reporting a little bit earlier, but turns out it was today. Still very high IV relative, but this one tends to be less of a percentage mover. It's obviously going to move larger price due to its share pricing, but similar pressure here because of the economic climate that we're in. Lots of just outflow and risk exposure with this company. And the market is certainly repricing that in. So for the rest of the session, we'll probably have about 10 more minutes, and I'll cut it over a little early to Carlos and Norm to cover the CPI itself. As always, for Thursday, feel free to ask questions, kind of open it up for any evaluation or analysis, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'll leave it to the chat room to kind of start. Let's see. Is the open interest on SPY so high for tomorrow due to CPI? It's always high on Fridays. I would argue that the implied volatility is high because of CPI. Today, especially tomorrow, has bank earnings, so there's a blend of why it's high, but watch what the implied volatility does today after the CPI is out. You will notice these numbers going down. That is just the dynamic that we're expecting. Now for SPY, there's only one to watch, but I would basically say that this 54% will go down by the end of the day because most of the risk here is from CPI. So people will be taking that hedge off and they will be unwinding, any contracts that are still open. Hence, volatility will go down. Tesla and Apple, sure. So Tesla's pretty simple. Where's support? We fell through the entire consolidation range after a breakdown on a breakaway gap. That one's pretty easy. Where is the first sign of support? Probably here. If you're in this period and you don't have the data from today, pretend like you don't know the future. That's what the chart looks like. So the first low into the next week where it doesn't break, into the next week, into the next week, into a test, into the next week, into the next week, into the breakout. So where is support? It's the low end of this candle, 211, right? What is yesterday's low? 211.50. So is Tesla at support? Yes. It is finally at support. So if the CPI comes out bullish, Tesla can bounce. If it doesn't, Tesla will either trade sideways or possibly just kind of build up a bear flag over time. This is a very weak chart. So I expect support to break later. I don't expect support to break after we transition the range. This is your support area. That's the support line. You build it off of the first weekly candle in this case that holds. And that one's pretty easy. Apple, do the same thing. It's falling, so you may as well look at the weekly. Take off other lines. This one's a little tricky because we did have weekly closure below a previous low. So do you put support here or do you put it here? The argument is that when this formation happened, it had no follow through and it led to a rally. So it's kind of a failed low, right? So where's Apple's support? It's right there. Where's the low? 132.61. Have we gotten to that price? No. What are some other prices that might be important for Apple? This inflection. I think this is kind of what's holding up Apple right now. It's that inflection at 138. It's September high 2020. Or it's July into, is it? August into September. Yeah, keep forgetting my months. But that inflection was a big one. It was a big volatility shakeup, and the whole market felt it. It wasn't just Apple, but it established a lot of inflections in the market. So that's where Apple is. Do you see a bullish setup here? No. It just means that it's probably going to continue pressing against it until it can get to support. Inflection is where price goes from moving up to moving down, potentially breaking trends. It's also where your breakout levels are. If Apple wanted to break out, that would be the high, and look at the back test. It's an inflection level. It's where your ranges form. It's where Apple stopped rising and started pulling back in, consolidating. You never really know the consolidation waves, but these are failed breakouts at the inflection. So, okay. On my AMD NVIDIA question, QQ said in the same way, correct? Yeah, QQQs are at, let's just look at this from the price level. The low end of September 2020 is 260.11. So if you're buying QQQ here, you're at the same price as 2 years ago. You've lost 2 years of progress on the Qs. It's also support. I mean, at the end of the day, the lower bounds of a pullback, especially one that consolidates and doesn't just go up, those are often better supports than just pullbacks. I mean, pullbacks act as support, but they don't have to hold for the longest time, nor do they have to respond immediately. Sometimes they kind of wave through. But this one right here is super important. I know we're under the 200. That's obviously a problem right now. We could easily come back in. This area is what you want to focus on for the Qs, especially, because otherwise it just means that we're probably going to drop. This whole area right here is a drop zone. You pull up a volume profile. What's going to protect the Qs volume profile wise in this zone? There's nothing here. So if we don't hold these areas, the drop is wide open. This is why I say we're on a cliff. It has nothing to do with the lows that we're trying to break. It has everything to do with the fact that there's no defense here. This whole area is open. What do I intend to trade today? The Qs. I'll probably trade one of the index products. You can pick a stock. You know, if the Qs are ripping, Tesla at support kind of makes sense. I might not trade Apple. You know, I'd probably want some with some good volatility. NVIDIA is technically still at support. I just need to see the reaction. You know, if the CPI does something, these stocks are just going to follow the market. So I don't want to short stocks at support. And if the market's going down, these stocks will fall with it more than likely, but I probably just want to short the actual index as opposed to like a stock that's at support. It's too likely that we might see like a reversion trade, even if the market is weak. You know, certain stocks might not sell as gracefully as others. Could you review Oxy, Amazon, or CL? Which one do you want? You gave me an or. So what's your most preferred of those three? Amazon. Okay. So let's start on the weekly. I think Amazon's a little bit more interesting because it's not on the edge quite yet. This will probably be my last one to look at. So let's go to a weekly here. Obviously, the waves in front of us are pretty important. I'd also argue that this one coincides with the highs. So the most important impact we had right now is this one. It was such a big high to low test. You know, all of this consolidation. This is 2 years of Amazon's trade, a rally, a couple of years again, and then a fall. So that first bounce was super important. It's been giving back a lot, and this is a very distributive looking chart. So Amazon technically, based on Wyckoff and other concepts, is more likely to continue falling relative to this move, albeit what would be the first target right now, you'd probably just still be targeting support. So, you know, the rallies are fun, and, you know, these are very good trade times. The bigger picture here is still bad. These are still massive rejections here on the, you know, on the level of like weekly moving average rejections. And when you look at the chart, that doesn't happen very often. You know, it's rare for this. So when price does that, you kind of respect the larger cycle here. And you probably also want to be looking at your fib extensions, which I never draw correctly the first time. So, I mean, can Amazon just double? It already did from the highs. Can it get a little bit farther down, 261? Fibonacci says yes. So, all right, y'all. So I'm out of time. Trade safe today. Stay tuned for Carlos and Noam with Pre-Market Prep. And honestly, love y'all so much. Please like and subscribe. If you love the content that we're putting out, feel free to comment on suggestions for the show, for our discussions here every single day, except for Friday. And as always, we'll talk more next week. Trade safe today and understand the volatility today. It's not built to be a very calm day. We're definitely going to move around. We'll see how it looks. So trade safe. We'll talk more then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Seeing what this CPI data is going to bring to the front table here.
This is like deja vu, dude.
I feel like we
Last
just did
CPI
this.
number we got, we were gapping up pretty big in the morning, people in anticipation of it, and then it was just like everybody running for the exits.
Yes.
So we'll see.
We'll see where this goes, man. But
We've
you're
got
absolutely
about
right.
2 minutes and 10 seconds until it comes out. So it's one of those things too. Like this happy earnings season, by the way.
Yes.
It's the start of earnings season, so we'll have that to trade off of, and we'll see how earnings go. But we've got that. We've got a few things on the gappers list, but how much research do you really want to do when it's all going to be flipped on its head at 8:30?
Right. We want to kind of just wait and see. This could flip the other way. Everything green in the red, and
we'll get very volatile for sure. I gotta close my door.
It'll be tough to build a watch list early on today, because again, I think we need to wait to for that data to kind of settle out before we start building a real watch list. It's gonna change. It always does, right? So we will see how that plays out. Yesterday, guys, really quickly, within a couple of seconds before the numbers come out, a minute and a half there. We had Uber on deck. Let's take a look at that. So Uber traded very, very clean as we see the spiders just jumping around all over the place in anticipation of this number. We had Uber on here, which is very, very nice. We had Nvidia, which had a little bit of a drop. Not as clear as the day before. We had Tesla and our usual suspects. And again, you can see across the board just things going sideways, waiting on what we're about to see right now. mRNA, guys, beautiful short yesterday. I and other members took this trade. And Neo, great opening range breakup in the 5-minute with a nice continuation. So, all right, let's see what's going on here, guys. Let's go back to the SPY a couple of seconds before this number is released. And we see the SPY doing its stay
it
here.
Started popping a minute early. So, no, it's not out yet. We'll see. I'm listening to Squawk. We've got about 15 seconds here.
We'll over on YouTube, if you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up for Jared.
Hang on. Core CPI +5. That's hot.
No bueno.
Maybe that was expectation. Hang on. Here we go.
The reaction shows otherwise.
Here we go.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, we came in hot.
I just don't know what to expect. Yeah.
See?
You called it, man.
What's the point?
You called it. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going back to bed. I'll be back in 15 minutes to see what the market's going to give us.
Yeah. I'll be
So,
honest. I slept in an extra hour and a half this morning.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
woke up at my normal time. I was like, why? It's CPI day. There's no reason to do anything. I went back to sleep and then woke up.
Same
later.
here. I woke up late for other reasons. My son is didn't sleep well yet last night, but yeah, I also woke up late today for all this. But yeah, let's see what happened, guys. This gappers list, just as we mentioned, look at it now, right? Everything in the red, obviously, nothing in the green. We'll give this time to settle out because I think it's just gonna be one of these crazy days for us to build our list. Um, and
I mean,
depending
look,
what,
the entire gap up list has almost
yeah,
gone away. I
it's
mean,
gone.
DWAC,
Hmm.
you almost can't even count that.
Yeah. The only thing
So,
here will probably be Delta. I know the airlines have been very active. Everything else, I think it's a bank. I don't remember what WBA is. This is garbage. And MUX, whatever. It's not great. Not great stuff on here. All right, excellent,
yeah,
guys.
DAL very well could be, but DAL's fallen pretty hard now too. So
Yeah,
it's
DAL.
lost almost half its gap up.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, well, let's roll.
yeah. Let's get into it. Let's see what we can find here. We're gonna look at the stuff that's
Spies
in
at
the green.
350, man.
Oh my goodness. Did we break yeah, of course we did. What are we
Yeah,
thinking?
we're way
Of
below
course we
now.
did. Way past that. I thought this was lower for some reason, but yeah, we're
We've lost 3 percentage points in the
yeah.
last 2 minutes.
You know what? Not to stall here, but to stall. Let's look at the weekly. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, look at this, man. We are what's this, a 2020 levels now? I mean, just insane. Insane. Um All right, let's see what's gapping up. Some of this stuff is still hanging here, so maybe there's something that we can look at. Let's start with DWAC. Now, you guys know I don't like the way this thing intraday trades. It doesn't trade well, so I usually stay away from it unless there's any major news. And again, today's going to be one of those
Yes, there
days
is
where
major news on
there
DWAC.
is. Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. What do we have?
Well, up until now, they had been kept from being on the Google Play Store because of violations according to Google's terms of service and such, but they are now apparently going to be allowed on the Google Play Store, or they are in the Google Play Store even.
Oh, that's for like Android phones.
Correct.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay, so it's like the Apple Store for Androids. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So good for them. They're gapping up 6.6. Again, that might be muted today with what's happening with the SPY, right? A little bit. We're coming down because that's actually big news for them, for this type of platform. So
It's
let's see. Let's see. It's holding here. I'm still concerned it's not a great intraday trading stock. But if you like the way this thing trades, you could definitely look at that. IMUX this morning, they are up 5.3. The last couple of days they've been doing some stuff here. Again, lower flow stock at 24. I prefer to watch something else, especially today. Here's Delta. Delta's dropped a little bit here, trying to hold. I know the airlines are making a little bit of noise the last couple of days here. So not sure. Not sure
they
about
had
Delta.
earnings this morning.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I was confused.
And
with
the real key to this is that they see business travel is starting to come back. That's been the biggest, even though, and we've spoken about it all year, you know, that the pent up demand that airlines have been busier and booking more flights than ever. They've been all, you know, not business, and that's where they make a lot of money is business travel.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, for sure,
it's been the lower end, lower priced stuff instead of business travel, and they see that coming back, so that should help them.
That's good. That's a plus. So that's definitely helping them out. So yeah, so Delta Airlines. Let's see if American Airlines is doing anything as well. They had great
Yeah,
volume.
it was popping up in sympathy a little bit, but I mean, it's
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
it back.
It's looking it back, but yeah, they're yeah. I'll just keep Delta Airlines and see what happens. All right, let's see what's gapping down. We got a couple that are leading the way here. RLMD. Oh, this looks like garbage. Low flow 26 million. I will usually say a buyout, but what is the news now? It's got to be horrible, whatever it is.
They had a depressive disorder drug that failed a trial.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. So, um, You know what? That's great news. No, I'm sorry. That's a good catalyst, not great news. Good catalyst, but
It's like,
it's
what?
not great news. Great news for us day traders to get some volatility, but it's not trading very well pre-market though. Besides the 3.9 million, it's not really doing a whole lot here. Um, so I'm not sure about it. We'll put it here. Maybe at the market open we can get some volume going. RLMD. We'll throw it on here. We'll see what comes back. Down 80%, guys. So that's just massive. Now be careful here. Don't have a short bias. We've seen stocks drop this much and slowly start recovering a little bit here. So be careful. Be on the lookout for that. Here's coin. Again, just dropping with the overall market. But coin and Mara seems to be taking the biggest hit, which they've been pretty not solid, but Bitcoin hasn't really moved much. But these guys are taking a hit this morning. I I don't know if I'm going to add them. I'll probably put coin. I had them also last a couple of days and they did okay. So we'll put coin on here, just one of them. CVNA. Today I'm going to prefer to watch something else. A firm. Yeah, it's going to be a tough day to build a list, man. This is going to be a
I
tough one.
think our usual suspects may be the best bet
Mhm.
today.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking as well. Because this year's a little bit not deceiving, but everything is going to be up based on the percentage, based on their price and all that. But I'm sure there's other things that are going to trade better, like in Apple, right? I'm going to put
Yeah.
Apple on deck, like in AMD, which has been interesting the last couple of days. Look at their daily, very interesting daily situation there on AMD, and Nvidia. You know, I think it's going to be all usual suspects today, guys. Tesla, unless there's something. Again, I always remind you guys, Tesla can be very volatile, so be extra careful with that one. Um, uh, yeah, I think these are going to be it for today. Unless it's something with some really big news, a big catalyst, I don't see how they'll beat any of these here because obviously the SPY is in control right now of what's happening. Norm, anything that I miss here? Maybe something that's been in play the last couple
No,
of
I mean, as
weeks?
far as catalyst driven stuff,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I
Okay.
just like the proxies,
Yeah. Yep.
Nvidia, Tesla, stuff like that.
Hmm.
You've got so much volatility in the market today that I mean, you could lower shares. I'm thinking more about strategy and how to
Yeah.
manage
Yeah.
risk today, as opposed to, um,
What to watch
what? Maybe you trade
specifically?
something that's not quite as volatile. Maybe you stay
Hmm.
away from a Tesla and trade an
Right.
Apple instead. Something that can still move. Maybe you lower your share size. I mean, there's different ways of doing it on when you get a day like today.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. Another one that's been good to us, Neo. Neo has been actually pretty interesting, and a lot of that stuff. Actually, I read something where Neo, Baba, they all were gapping down, just based on the their reaction. Kind of happened yesterday as well, based on the inflation data, right? Because obviously they were closed when it came out, so more reaction happened after hours for them. Well, hour after hours, they're open. Baba could be one today too. So. All right, we'll keep it here, guys. Let's take it to the room. Let's think about stuff that, like Norm says, has a big catalyst, or maybe something that's been in play the last couple of days that's not on this list that might be worth watching. So let's go to the room here. Gary, you're giving a Shopify. I don't like the way this thing intraday trades on a regular basis. And today I think it's just doing overall market stuff. So if you like this price, because some of these other ones, maybe you don't like to trade at Tesla at 200 or Apple 135. Maybe you're comfortable at 24. Not that there's any difference, but psychologically, sometimes people treat them different. Maybe you watch this one today, right? I think it'll be somewhat in play. I think other stuff is going to trade slightly better. Carlos is owner of 10% of Neo. Oh man, if I were to probably add all my shares, probably 1% of that I traded over the last couple of 4 years. But no, man, Neo's been pretty good with their continuations. So yes, they had a nice breakout and also a nice sell off. So we could play that both ways. Neo and Motrin. Yeah, Motrin should send me some vouchers, man, for all the Motrin we buy here for the kids. Amazon
is that what
is
that is? Is that a paid plug that you have scheduled every Wednesday morning?
no. So yeah, that it looks like my wife meant to do it for a day because she puts every on the calendar. She's like, organizer, top tier. So she must have put something on there instead of putting it for the day. She left it for a week. So that's what it was. So every Wednesday kept coming off. I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's what it was. Yeah, so I was
I do
cracking
want
on
to
her
point
on
out,
that.
yeah, that's I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, somebody asked, why don't we put together a list of various stocks that can be used as proxies, kind of like I was talking about. The thing about that is it's different for everybody. It's personal preference. Some people love trading Tesla. Some people won't touch it. Some people love trading AMD. Some people won't touch it. I haven't traded AMD in months. Peter trades the damn thing every day.
Every day.
So,
every day.
it's a lot of it's personal preference and just finding what you like. You can't really put a list together that would work for everybody. So,
now that you mentioned that, I put AMD on my list a lot, and I don't think I have traded AMD like in 2 months. Like if I really think about it, I usually end up trading Nvidia or Apple. Nothing wrong with AMD. It's just it seems like those two are slightly better. So yeah, I agree with you. Preference is going to be a big difference as well. A big decision factor there for you. All right, I don't see you guys throwing on any more tickers. Anything else you like? Amazon. Again, I got a lot of usual suspects on here. I could change like an AMD for an Amazon as well because I got Nvidia. Kind of switch things up in the semis. But the semis been interesting, so I want to definitely keep them on deck here. Over in our Alex, you're giving us me a good one. mRNA, that was a great trade for a lot of us yesterday. I think Greg killed that trade yesterday from 140. He got at 140 here, all the way down to like 130. He still has shares on this thing. So great job there, buddy, and a lot of you guys over in the community. mRNA today it could be interesting to close this gap. We had a gap up, sold off pretty much yesterday. And yeah, that could be a good possible. It's not getting the volume I would like to see on a day like today, where everything is just high flying at the moment. But could be interesting at the market open. Could be interesting if if their catalyst of their vaccine is not going to be looked at the way they think. Okay, what else here? All right, nothing else over on YouTube chat, Twitter, somewhat weather the landslide. Let's see. It's just such a mess at Twitter. Again, Norm, you call this. It is messy. There's things that are trending and trading well. This is not trading well at all, guys. It's really not. You had this pop here. Volume is back to dead. And look at the sideways action. And even worse, look at the intraday action. If you zoom into this is what you're getting. This is just nasty trading, right? So yeah, I'm not going to sit around and wait for this to decide to do something. That's just my personal thoughts on this. We'll find something else to trade. Unless Elon decides, or not decides, but unless something falls off, the face of the earth with that plan, I don't think this is tradable anymore. At least for now. So yeah. Okay, perfect, guys. I think we are set. I'm not gonna add anything else to this list. This list looks pretty good. We have coin. Look at this drop on coin, guys. 70 to 63. We have Apple again, a little bit of a bounce here, but same thing, dropping. AMD's been trying so hard to hold here. It's right below that, so I think AMD will be interesting as well today. Nvidia dropping nicely. Tesla put in a green day yesterday. Look at that, one green day. Not that it helps their
First one
trend.
in a while, I actually traded on that, expecting some of that.
Nice. So you did trade it at a long reversal?
Yeah.
Sweet, man. So yeah, Tesla put in their first green day in a very long time, and then NIO it's just been getting crushed here, guys, as well. And look at the drop we're getting now. So my watch list is set, guys. We're gonna have time today for questions. If you have anything that looks crazy, I'll throw it out there. I'm not gonna go to levels yet because I think it's just too early right now. And some of this stuff is going to be moving around past low of the pre-market in some cases. So we'll hold off on levels for a couple of minutes. So throw out questions. This is your opportunity to ask us anything that maybe we haven't covered or you haven't been able to ask before because we have a very busy show, right? So make sure you do that. And as you're thinking about those questions, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. Our usual goal is to get above well, let me check the number first. It's 200, 250. We're sitting at 131, which is really good this morning.
Let's get 500
so far.
today.
If we could get 5. Oh yeah, if we get 5, that'd be incredible. With that, I want to show you guys our webinars coming up for the next 2 weeks. Heading over to bearbulltraders.com, and if you click on webinars, you can see what's coming up for the next 2 weeks.
All right. Like you said, bearbulltraders.com/webinars. And you can see this every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, onboarding and technology with Carlos. Go there, open to everybody. You can even sign up for it on the homepage to get an email with a link so you can go without even being a member or paying. Tuesdays is for strategy. Every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Usually. basics of the opening range break strategy, specifically the 5-minute. That's also with Carlos next week. And then the following week, moving averages. Andrew will be talking about how he uses moving averages, how, why, what moving averages he uses, all that info. Then psychology. It is, today is Thursday, isn't it? Next week, we had Cradle last night. Recording should be posted soon next week. We've got Mike talking about personal values and that affecting your trading performance. And then the following week, we will have Randy Howell talking about scared money, knowing better but chasing losers. Should be a very interesting conversation. Thursday, we've got mentorship. We've got 11 a.m. with John, 4 p.m. with Ed, and 8 p.m. with Thor. I don't know if Thor might be missing his. I saw a note about him traveling or something today, so I don't know what the status is of that, but we'll figure it out. And then let's see here. TradingTerminal.com, where you can go and get scanners, news, all that kind of stuff, heat map. TradingTerminal.com, and don't forget about StockTradingSimulator.com, our free web-based replay simulator where you can hone your trading skills 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our free replay simulator. If you are watching in the room or watching on YouTube and haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, you can use the promo code PreMarket24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership. That's 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It does not auto-renew or anything, and it's a one-time charge. And if you'd like to become an elite member, use the promo code READ50 for half off the elite annual membership and a one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Reed.
All right. Thank you very much, Norm, guys. Thank you very much, Norm. Guys, we're getting a landslide here. Look at this thing. This thing is just making you lows, and
it's getting nasty.
It's getting really nasty here. Usually, you hang out here for a little bit. This is saying, no. We are going further south. So, interesting day to say the least. All right, guys. Well, I mean, it's so early to do levels, but I guess we can start looking at some stuff here as far as levels. A lot of it is it's gonna change as we move forward, but we'll do some things just to kind of be prepared. And then think of questions, guys. Again, we have time today because my list is set. I'm really happy with this list here. Coin, Apple, AMD, Nvidia, Tesla, and Neo. And again, if you ran through that, everything is doing what the overall SPY is doing. So it's going to be a thing of preference, as I mentioned before. Someone asked earlier, let me actually go back, and I told me we'll get to this question. It might be one that Norm, you can probably answer better than I can. So let's see here. Where was that? I'm scrolling up.
While you find that, I am getting asked here, given the price action or hinging like this, could this news event potentially turn into a circuit breaker event on the day? That would mean a 7% drop to hit the first circuit breaker. I don't see that happening. I mean, could it? Yes. Will it? I would bet against it 99 out of 100 times. So.
Yeah. Wow, guys, I missed that question. Can't find. Oh, here it is. When you guys get on, I'd be curious about the pre-market trading post CPI. If there's a major volume, do you think the moves can be done by the open? Yeah, I mean we're seeing huge volume.
It's
now
possible. We're at some pretty big levels here. I mean, that 3,500 on the S&P is substantial. So and it's psychological to a degree, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it could be. We'll see.
Yeah. The market open, we could just chop around or be reversing a little bit here. We'll have to see. Anything is with this market.
I mean, the fact of the matter is the CPI data was worse than people expected. However, the year over year, it did slow down a tiny bit from month to month. The year over year is a little bit lower, so it's not like we had worse inflation than we had a month ago. So yes, the house is on fire. No, there aren't gas cans in every room, or not 2 gas cans in every room. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not good news, but it's not. It could be worse.
Correct.
And it's not. Frankly, it's not that surprising.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Like yes, we're seeing a reaction now, but how much of this is built in? We've been selling off, guys, for the last 5 days in the SPY, right? So how much of this is?
It's another thing, yeah.
It's we know, like, we got experts that kind of have an idea of what's going to happen here, right? It's not a surprise, but the SPY is sensitive. It tends to overly react at times, as we're seeing now. Has a SPY ever been halted? I don't know.
Yes.
It has? Okay. I
Yeah. I
can't.
mean, you got circuit breaker market halts. We
Yeah,
encountered
yeah.
those last. We encountered those. Those were put in place uh, almost 20 years ago or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
think they were put in place, I believe, in after the financial crisis and some of that stuff. We hit them several times in the spring of 2020 before the rebound began. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, on here on our gap down list hasn't changed much. Coin and Matter still the ones taking the biggest hit percentage wise. And then we got again just every ticker that you can possibly think of. So, all right, guys, let's get to levels. Let's do some levels here. Let's see what's happening, and then we can always come back and answer some more questions. You guys throw those out here. Let's set it over to
and
yeah.
and let me just since these are coming up, guys, the three levels are first one is 7%, and as long as it happens before, I think it's like 3:25, 3:30 in the afternoon, so early enough. If it happens later in the day, they just let it work itself out. But if it's before that last half hour or so, the market's closed essentially for 15 minutes. The next one's at 13%, and then it would close again, and then 20%. So
yeah.
that would, if it hits that 20% number, the market's closed for the rest of the day. Yeah, it's the chance of that happening is so slim. I mean, I wouldn't anticipate it. We've seen stuff, economic news that's on par with what we're seeing today, kind of over the last decade or so, and it hasn't tripped. It has happened, Sean. It happened in the 20%. No, not the way that current circuit breakers are built into the market. We did hit the 13%, if I recall correctly. In spring of 2020. I wouldn't count my life on that, but I think it hit 13%. It has not hit the 20.
Yeah.
When it happened multiple days that we hit 7.
Yeah. But again, I'm with you. I don't think that's happening today. Again, we've been selling down for the last couple of days, so keep that in mind. And how much we sold off here, and then we have this drop happening today. So we will.
Phil is asking, why does that not happen in short squeezes? Because it only happens when the market's going down. So you have volatility halts on individual stocks where things will get halted going up or down more than 10% either direction in 5 minutes. That's not the same thing. This is an entire market circuit breaker. It happens when the market's dropping.
Yeah, if it's going up, it's a good thing. They won't want to stop if it's going up. It's usually not the case. All right, guys. Let's do some levels here. Although I know some of the lows might change. At least we'll have something set up and we'll be ready to go.
Just one last comment. Some people are saying it's manipulation, that it doesn't do it on the way up. Generally, panic creates bigger moves.
Oh, by far.
So you generally don't have days where the market is melting up 7, 13, 20%. I mean, that just doesn't happen. But panic can cause it to deteriorate rapidly. Anyway, that's it.
Not in the overall market, right? Again, guys, keep the difference between a ticker, a company, and the overall market, right? Think about this. Everything has to be moving like that. It's not usually the case, right? So just think about the big picture, not a
GE and IBM
ticker.
are not melting up 20%.
Neither is Coca-Cola or any of these other huge companies that have, a big share, a big piece of the
boring
pie.
Ones we don't trade. Don't think about Tesla.
Right. Yeah, don't think about some of these low flow stocks that are up 130%. Think about those. They're not moving the SPY. All right, guys. So levels, we'll start here with Apple. And if we look at Apple this morning, again, dropping like everything else, highs and lows are going to be up here for a lot of the stuff that we're going to look at today, right? So we're going to be just kind of leaving that alone there towards the top side of things. We'll mark down the high of the pre-market towards the top, and then we're going to focus more on what's happening down here. This drop low of the pre-market, 133.21. This area here, this area where we're trying to hold could be interesting. So I am going to mark this here as well. I know it's not the low of the pre-market, but we dropped so much that we might see some support here or some action. Again, we might retest this low again, but I think once we set a level here where we're trying to hold, I think that could be somewhat important to have on our list. But not a major area of support and resistance, but worth having on deck there. So we're going to mark that there. We're going to go over to the left and see what do we have below this. So if we scroll down here, we do have 130, and we do have an area right midpoint here, 132 or so. We got a couple of days, testing that area there, that level. So that's good on there. And then towards the top between that 134 that we marked down in the previous day close and highs and lows, another midpoint area as well, where you're seeing a little bit of some action. Not a whole lot, but just a couple of days opening and closing. And using that as support at that 136.20, 23. So we'll mark that there as well. Here's our buddy AMD, which I'm sure is not happy with this news. It's just been getting crushed. Hasn't sold off as much from their lows, right? Everything else is blew to their lows. This one's just, again, I think AMD is on one of those situations where it's been so bad for them. They're trying to hold here. This 56. But obviously the market has other plans for them. 55.41 is the low of the pre-market, trying to hold here. You do have some highs and lows very close to the action. Let's go to the left here and see if... Oh, thought I was going to get 21 scroll, but no. We're going way back to 2020 and see what we have below the pre-market lows right now. So at the moment, this is your area where the price action is. Towards the bottom, we're going to mark down 53.66. Really, really good level of support there, guys, and resistance for a nice stretch, by the way, here on AMD before we had this insane breakout that we never looked back on. But we're here now. So 51.34, just in case, another level below that. It's only $5 away from where the action is now at 56. So not far-fetched on AMD to hit those levels. Over at NVIDIA this morning, I'm going to remove some of the older levels as our highs and lows are, as I mentioned before, we're going to be covering our top side, at least for now, unless we have some insane recovery. NVIDIA, on the other end, right, didn't really get a bounce like many of the other stocks did, right? You saw Apple kind of really drop off and bounce back up and hang out around here. AMD, the same thing, Tesla as well. This one just dropped and said, no, this is our low, and we're sticking to it for now, at least 109.60. So great area of support there. We're going to head over to the left. I should really be looking at a weekly, actually. That's probably more ideal for this. So we're going to go over to a weekly and just kind of pick off some levels here. We're going to look at 106.68. And we'll mark down this area here. We're not going to get to 98, but 98 seems to be another area of really good support on the weekly there. Since we're going so far back to the daily, that is what we have there on NVIDIA, trying to hold this 109, 110 at the moment. Tesla, guys, another good one here. Again, a reminder, days like today, Tesla can be very, very tough to trade. If you're not selecting, the proper size and the proper stop, right? The proper space you need to give this thing, right? So if you're used to trading stock where you're giving it, 50 cents, 30 cents, don't let your mind fool you that you want to do 30 cents, 50 cents, on Tesla. It's not going to work. In some cases, you got to give the stock $1, right? And don't be scared to give a stock $1 if you see an opportunity to trade it. Just make sure that your number of shares are what they need to be, right? If you have 100 shares, it's going to be $100, right? So just calculate things properly, but you got to give yourself enough room or you're going to have a very hard time getting stopped out on Tesla, right? So just keep that in mind. We saw that with mRNA yesterday. mRNA was a little tough to trade because you had to give it 50, 75 cents, right? And their pullbacks were testing that 50, 75 cents. So you have to give it enough room for it to do its thing. It eventually gave us what we wanted, right? It sold off really nice and we took advantage of that, but you had to give it room or else you could get stopped out. I actually got stopped out once and got back in and it worked out really nice. Tesla, look where Tesla is at right now, man. Major area of support here on the daily on Tesla, 209, 208. We're seeing that there. If we were to drop below that, let's zoom into 2021, and we're looking at a 201 here, and then down over here over at a 193. These numbers for Tesla are not hard to hit with the way this thing moves, right? So got a couple of things there. These are the major areas of support, resistance that we're seeing based on this daily. in between the low of the pre-market and also at 201. I think there's a midpoint here that's going to be a good one. 205. You also have a couple of days testing that as well. I think it'll be worth marking down there, but definitely at 201 is where you're seeing major support there. Heading down to Neo. Neo here dropping. Man, Neo hasn't put in a green day in a long time. Has even gapped up? No, it's been sell off, sell off, sell off. No gap here, slight gap up yesterday, but still ended red, and today's not looking any more fun. So low of the pre-market on Neo 1236. We will mark that there, and then let's towards the top, highs and lows of the last two trading days are doing a pretty good job. Maybe the high of the pre-market at 1305. And once you put that in there, you are pretty much set. We're going to go on the weekly here, which is F5 on your hotkey for Dash Trader Pro. F5 will bring you to the weekly, and we're just looking at some levels. 944. We'll be looking at 1048. I would like something close to that 12, but I don't see anything great there. So I'm not going to mark something just to market. I don't see anything great there at all. So we'll leave that as is. Back to our daily here. That is Neo, guys, trying to hold to this 1236. Obviously creating a 52-week. Oh, no, I take that back. This actually, here's what I needed. That's the level I'm looking for. I'm looking for something closer to the price action. It's right over here, 1172. Perfect. That's what we needed there to make this a little more comfortable for us. So that is Neo, guys, selling off. Great volume, and everything has great volume today on my list, right? We have 700 on Coin, 2.2 on on Apple, 1.3 on AMD, Nvidia 1.4, Tesla with 3 million, and Neo right behind it, 3 million as well. So volume today is not an issue. Delta Airlines managed to still stay green, guys. So that is interesting. I think I'm gonna try to move them up here because I do like the fact they were able to kind of weather the drop here and stay in the green side of things. If we do get any kind of bounce or strength later in the market, this can actually do something today. So they had earnings, and the earnings reported, business travel, as Norm mentioned, is coming back. So that's really good news for them, because if you guys know, that's where the real money is in travel. It's business. It's not a pleasure travel or vacations or things like that. So yeah, that is good. Baba, see what Baba is doing, dropping very much. Baba will be a good one today too. Baba loves. I love when Baba sells off. It does it very, very well. So it'll be a nice one to keep an eye on. And then mRNA started to close this gap here. It might not be as impactful anymore because we're getting pretty close to some of these levels here. So maybe mRNA might be one that should probably take off the list for now. I think we're gonna have a lot of other stuff that looks much, much better. LRMD. I'm not gonna waste time with this. It just seems all over the place. I'm just gonna remove it, guys. Just to be a little more focused on what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All our usual suspects besides Neo and Coin. Everything on this list is usual suspects that we've been watching for a very, very long time. Carlos, yeah, could today be a good day for the rising devil trace or not? Liam, I have no idea, man. No idea. It's hard to kind of tell what kind of day it's going to be for an actual strategy, because who knows? Who knows, man? It can be. I'm not the best rising devil trader. I take it when Brian calls something out that I can spot and say, okay, this looks really good. I'm going to jump in as well. But who knows, man? We will have to see. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I'll tell you this: the 5-minute open range breakup, which I trade, might be a little bit difficult today because you might get things. It's going to be so much volume at the market open that things might run before you get even into 3 minutes, right? You might get things that are going to react very quickly, very aggressively. So some of your strategies that work in a certain way might not be the best today, and the best remedy to that is to wait. You know, wait. The market is going to be in play all day today. Stocks are going to be in play all day today, or at least moving all day today. So that first crucial hour, 30 minutes of the market open might not do what you want it to do, right? So that's going to be key today. Just be patient as things are flying off the shelf here, up or down. You have to keep cool and know that we're going to have some trades today. And I'm hoping that the SPY will trend one direction or another. That's going to provide some really clean moves for us, especially after that 15-minute after the market open, right? So that's going to be pretty good. More blood on the streets. Yeah, it's not looking fun at all. Guys, over on YouTube, thank you so much for being with us here with this morning. Hit that thumbs up. We're sitting at 184. We're going to try to get to 500 today if we can. So if we can get to 500, we really appreciate it. Help us get there. It helped the channel a whole bunch. So thank you for that. All right, guys. Any questions? Anything else we might have missed? 9:05. We got plenty of time to go over any questions. Any of the tickers that might be doing some stuff here different than everything else. FTCH. See, FTCH is dropping 7%, trying to lead the way here. But man, they're doing it in probably the ugliest fashion there is with no volume. So not really something you want to be watching, right? So be careful with this gappers list today, right? Because today you're going to see things that the percentages look good, but once you start looking under the hood a little bit, it doesn't look great. Why is the VIX down? Why is the VIX down? I'm not sure. Usually the VIX will go up on something like this. I mean, this is the fear indicator, as some people call it. Well, it slammed down and it's trying to get back up. So it's not down a whole lot. We'll see how it ends for the day, right? We'll see how it ends. What strategy will you focus on today? Well, Alex, I'm still going to be looking at my 5-minute open range breakup, understanding that I know things might run before we get to that 5 minutes. So I usually try to look between 3 to 5 minutes. That's when I'm looking to take a trade if it's setting up properly, right? Neo, for example, yesterday set up right at the 5-minute mark. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But if things get too extended, I'm going to, wait for a pullback. And see if we can get a good risk to reward on a pullback out of the gates at the open. And then from there, we'll look out for breakouts of levels. But I think instead of breakouts of levels, I think reversals, it all depends on the spot. I think reversals might be something to look for today. And if you guys seen the way Jared takes reversals, I'll be looking for anything he calls out this morning in our chat room. So whatever Jared calls out, say it loud, please, in caps, so we can join the party. Carlos, will you have a look at FNGD? Please, no. Sorry, I'm not looking at that. You're not gonna make me look at that. I don't even want to know what it's doing. I don't know how much it's gapping up or down. You're not gonna make me look at finger. Is that finger motion? Is that what that is? Right? FNGD. Yeah, not looking at that. Alice, anytime. Is the market are going to go, or I mean, it's going to go down on how many percent by December? Oh, you're asking how much the market is going to go down by December percentage wise? Who knows, man? Nobody knows. I mean, and any number anybody gives you is just their best guess. Again, as day traders, I mean, we don't really care much about the percentage the market is going down, right? As day traders, right? If you're swing trading, investing, you might care a little bit more about that, right? But as day traders, we care about this list today. Like my focus right now is this list here, the volatility, the volume, some stuff that does have a catalyst like Delta. Delta has a catalyst. The only thing green on my list today, Delta. So I'm focused on that, right? And I'm not going to be looking at anything further than that, especially when it comes to what the SPY is going to do. But who knows? Who knows? Mad Max gave you a number there. He says it's going to be down 120%. So that's his guesstimate for that. If I know that, please share. Yes, if I had that number, I would definitely give it to you guys. No question. We would all been given that information. What is a logical percentage drop for the Qs if it does a big move? Logical percent? This question here would have been best for Jared. Jared would have been the man to answer that type of question. But you know what? We got a good reaction already. We're down 2.8. We're up probably 1%, maybe a little bit shy of that. We're down 2.7. I mean, we're not going to drop endlessly here, guys, right? It's not going to happen. Can we get another leg down? Absolutely. Can we pop up and trend down? Absolutely. So there's so many things that we could do here at the market open. The actual percentage is going to be difficult to kind of get you an answer on that, right? Already, this is a nice, decent drop, given the fact that look at the last couple of days too. Like, I'm not just considering this single day here. Like, yes, this is impactful, it's dramatic, right? But look at the entire picture. I mean, we have a couple of days that we've been dropping, gap down, drop some more, making new lows. I mean, you got to look at the whole picture when you're thinking about, the cues, how much they can drop for the day, right? Um, but I'll tell you this much: we're gonna see. We're gonna see in due time. Um, so we will see. No, no circuit breaker today. No, I don't think so. Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea to start investing now or wait for recession? What are we in now? I think ain't this a recession? Well, not technically. Um, listen, investing is one of those things. It depends on your time frame. What is your time frame? So you can't say investment or long term are plays without asking for the time frame. If you're looking at 3 months from now for a swing trade, might want to be careful. Looking at a year plus, 2 years, 3 years plus, it's always a good time to buy. If you're looking long term, you know, it's always a good time to start investing. So the answer to that is start investing now. Yes, absolutely. Start investing now. But now if you're looking for a return like in the middle of April, don't do that, right? Now if you're looking way past that longer term stuff, everything is on sale. Stuff is on sale right now. I had a friend who contacted his financial advisor and told them, listen, if you have cash hanging around, everything's on sale. Start loading up for long-term view, right? 3, 4, 5 years plus, right? Long-term stuff. Things are on sale, right? That's what it is. So, yeah, we're not giving you any advice on what to do with your capital if you have anything available. But listen, just look at the history. Do some research. Look at the numbers that the SPY does. Look how it trends. Look what it has done in the past when we've seen similar situations like this one. At the end of the day, we're heading northeast. You just got to make sure your time frame is aligned with what you're looking to do. And the advice I give people that want to start investing is you know, just stay away from margins. During this time here, stay away from margins. If you go in margins, that's a whole different ball game. Just buy what you have as cash. That's an advice I give people if they ask for my 2 cents. Not advice you should follow, but if you're starting out and you're brand new, stay away from margins. That is where people get into trouble, right? When you're trying to hold something long term and you're on margins. So careful on that. All right. Moderators list coming in already. I have Thor, I have Susan. We'll wait for a few more and we'll get this rocking and rolling. Megan coming in with her list as well. I'm just going to see our gap up list is showing some stuff. HSBC, this is a bank, right? HSBC Holding. Yeah, so it's a bank. It's up 2.1. INMD is also up as well. Not looking attractive though, so not good. AXSM, man, nothing good here. As far as day trading in this low flow, I'm not gonna even bother with that. Yeah, so as far as day trading, nothing great. The only one with a big catalyst, I think, is DWAC this morning. And it's just kind of hanging around here, but they're not a great intraday trading stock though. Is it a good idea to buy options and hold for 1 week or 2 weeks? Artie does those all the time, those weekly options, I believe. So, I'm not the best person to give you that answer, Lito, but ask Jared tomorrow, engineering the markets. Oh no, he's off tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. On Monday, engineering the markets, Jared knows options very well. You can ask him on Monday if you're hanging around with us. So, Norm, anything you like? Are you done for the day?
No, I'm sitting here. I actually made a hotkey mistake and I got into a stupid position and I'm seeing if I can fix it. So.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
That's all right. I have a hotkey to pull up news information on stuff, and I accidentally hit buy a whole shitload instead of look at the news, and so
yeah,
it's all right.
Hopefully, it turns out or it goes in your direction. I'm sure you probably just wait for it to do something there. All right, guys, we are all set today. It's going to be an interesting day. Looking forward to the market open. Let's get to our moderators list here. And as I do this, if you haven't done so already, it's a great opportunity to hit that thumbs up, show us some love, and we appreciate it very, very much. If you're enjoying the content, definitely do that, and we appreciate you guys.
No, right. Jason, I am not on the right side of this trade at the moment.
Why
I'm gonna have to get out of it before the. Oh, you never make a good hotkey mistake. Works.
Yeah,
no,
only
that
Andrew
doesn't happen.
I only seen that happen to Andrew, where he would make a mistake, like, oh, I got in the wrong one because he had the wrong montage selected. And he's like, oh, this is working out, and he makes a boatload. I'm like, what does it happen to me? It is what it is. Here we go, guys. There is the lineup for today. We're looking at Thor. He's looking at Amazon, AMD, SPY, the Qs, Creative Ideas, PFE, and Co. So Susan looking at the SPY, Tesla, Apple, and Netflix. Megan's looking at Netflix and PayPal. These two have been her buddies for a while. Sometime here, they pop up quite a bit there. So Jared watching Qs, Nvidia, TSM, and the Volatility ETFs. And IPOs for today: CTM. What are they to IPO on? SPACs as well, right there. And here we go. We have Peter's Watchlist, AMD, of course, Apple, and Delta this morning, which is the only thing green on my list is Delta, trying to hold. There was some good volume too. Norm, you said earnings last night or this morning, right? This morning
On what?
on Delta, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it
This
was
morning.
it was this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew, market gapping down, volatility market, TQQ, Nvidia, AMD, and some ETFs here, XPXL, and also Tesla. And we got Brian looking at Coin, Tesla, SPY, and Qs as well. So there you have it, guys. That is our moderators list for this morning. Have an amazing day. Remember, guys, wait a little bit. Don't rush it. We will have opportunities today. The volatility is there. We just got to be disciplined and find our strategy. So take care. Trade safe over on YouTube. Thank you for the 240 likes. We didn't get 500, but we'll get it tomorrow. Don't miss us at 8:30 a.m. as we get rocking and rolling and see how the SPY is going to end for today. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Take care, guys. Trade safe.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.